Right, just a quick one today, and it is a flutter rather than a bush, so flutter, oh well, a little bit of a splat anyway. This is the Klein Tools. Now don't worry, it's not invisible, it's not a special invisible version. I have taken it out because obviously I need to test these things. I've used this briefly, so I will give it a tentative score, not a full score, so I'm just pre-warning you there. But I got this with my own money. I don't know, I'm not involved with Klein, I'm not paid by them and any of that. I didn't get this for free and all that. Right, that's that rubbish out the way. What is this? Right, it's the Klein Tools, and the actual model number is 32308F. I think there might be two versions. I've got the F. I think the other one maybe has one less bit or something. There's so many versions at the minute, it's getting ridiculous. So this is the Klein Tools 10-in-1 Impact Stubby, sorry, not study. So I like a stubby, as you know, on this channel. I've got loads of stubbies. I've got them at work. I've got them all over. I've got them in the car. I think they're really handy when you just need to do a quick job. You don't want a full kit. I can stick that in the jeans pocket, no problem. It is engulfed by the pocket. I can get on with the day, and I know that I'm ready for a bit of EDC action. Let's put it like that. I mean, this Vihar one is getting old now, and the Vera one is getting on a bit as well, but they still all work. They're all brilliant. So what have we got here? So we'll put them to one side and I'll compare them in a moment. So how do they explain this? Right, so let's talk about this. It's got it in various languages here, but the essential here is it has a flip socket. They're calling it a 3-in-1. It's actually a 2-in-1, but you can have it slightly different depth settings, so technically it's a 3-in-1, but it's a flip socket on the end here, so ignore that there. So here it is here in its entirety. Now you get storage and 1 bit, so there's 1 bit on there, and then there is storage in here. So there's your storage, and it is a bit carousel. So before we go into that though, let's get a nice close look. I've done this in 4K 60 frames a second HDR. I'll try and get the best quality I can so you can get a nice close look. So there's your flip socket and one of their bits which comes with it. So they are coated. That just happens to be one of the Phillips. There's no posi drivers in this. There's a couple of squares which I'm probably going to swap out for posies, because here in Europe and especially in the UK I use posies quite a lot. You know, hex and certainly Torx should hopefully take over from posi at some point, but it's slow going, a little bit like USB-C, where it went on and on and on and on, where we were having to put it with micro USB until the end of time. And I used to keep complaining about it, and people used to get annoyed, and now they realise why I was complaining about it. So in regards to the flip socket, it is a 1/4 inch and a 5/16. So if you wanted to convert that to mil, you know, if you were in Europe, it would be a 1/4. That is your 6.35 mil. It's your standard 1/4 inch, and they are 5/16. I believe is something like, it'll be almost 8 mil, 7.95 or 7.96 millimeters. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments below. And it is Klein Tools, so I trust them. So I love this little collet design here. It can't move until you actuate that. You don't put it in and it clicks. So it has to, it's not going anywhere. You have to actuate that, pop it in, and then it clicks. And the actual, when I first saw the handle, I wasn't that impressed. I saw this acetate and I thought, that reminds me of something my dad would buy in the 60s. And it is, but it's actually a sensible design. It looks quite nice. It looks like almost like a boiled sweet. And this actually works. It is a rubber, and I'll do the nail test, so I'll imprint with the nail. As you can see, a nice soft rubber. It's not over the top with knurling. It's just got these stripes, and it works. It feels really comfortable. It's not too small and it's not too big. They could have made this a little bit bigger, and the reason why I suggest that is because in the carousel you'll notice that these are reduced height bits. So let's compare those. Got some PB Swisses here. So if we compare those with a normal, well, I'm saying normal, a normal bit where you have your second, you've got the bottom section there and your head, and then you have your detent holes. These also have the detent holes, but if you look, in fact, we'll just take this out and compare. Height wise, a big difference. So you see that there, look. So PB Swiss on the top and then Klein on the left. So that is a massive difference in height. It's substantial. So if you thought, well, I'll just go and buy a few of these and I'll stick these into the carousel, it isn't going to work, unfortunately. So you can't do that. You can only do that with the reduced height one. So just bear that in mind. So pop that back in there for now. And it is 1/4 inch, the holder. So as long as the hex is a 1/4 inch, it will be fine regardless of the length. So what are they saying here? So they are saying this has 7 bits. Well, it does. So you've got this here, and then you have, and I'll go through the bits actually, you have a PH1, a PH2 and a PH3, in other words Phillips. No posies in this, and you have a 3/16 flat and a 1/4 flat, which are there. There's one there. Let's get a nice close look at them as well, because we've looked at the Phillips. So we'll pop that out. Give me one of these sometime today. Goodness me, sorry. Right, let's have a nice close look at the head on that. Let's see how the, now let's look at the profile of that. Decent profile. It's not a chisel grind. It looks like it's like almost like a nice parabola. It does come in nicely, a bit like the PB Swisses, so well made. I do not see any folding over or crimping or machine marks on that. That looks like a quality piece, but I would expect that. And then it tells you on there it is the 3/16 for the flat, and you can see the detent marks on there, and you can see there's a bit of moisture on there. That is just, it smells like machine oil, because I've had a smell of it, and it smells like a light machine oil, which good. I like seeing that on tools when they come, because it means they're not going to be rusted to bits, so they're fine. And it also has 2 squares, also known as a Robertson's. I don't really use those personally. They're in there. It's not something I would use, and I'll give you a close look at the carousel system there. So it's just a clip. It's not magnetic or anything like that. They just clip in, and 1/4 inch ends. So fine. Now, regards to the retention, it is not a locking bit. This is locking, but the section that you put the head in is not. So down there, in fact, I'll take it to bits just so I can explain what's happening here. Let's explain what you get here. So you get this central section. So you have a standard American and European anvil on there. It's not like the extended Japanese type. So that is a power or electric anvil on there. So you can put this in an electric drill. Also, because this is impact rated, you can stick that in the collet of an impact driver and it isn't going to disintegrate. So excellent. I like seeing that. And the number for this actual part, 32766. And then it has a ball detent there. And then it has this sort of hex arrangement around the outside. So what's that for? Well, there is a magnet on the end here, and just to prove it's a magnet, look, I'll just show you. There, see that? It's quite a decent one. I would say in regards to strength, it's not PB Swiss strength. It's kind of like, it's just under a PB Swiss, and it's certainly better than Vera. Because some of the Vera stuff at the minute, the magnets could be a little bit stronger, but that's why I generally get a Vera locking head. So how does that work then? So this is your flip socket. So you have a 5/16 there. Flip socket as in you can flip it over because it goes all the way through there. As long as you put it on this device here. And there is your 1/4 inch. So you can use that as a driver. So if we were to put that on, and I'll show you. So we'll get that on. So when you go to the first setting, like that, there. So can you see you've got the magnet there? So watch. And just to prove that it does work, I'll actually carefully do this and you'll see it jump. There, see that jump? Very strong magnet there. It's just below the PB Swiss stuff, which is extremely strong, but it's a decent magnet. So that holds that in. And in regards, they're calling this, rather than a 2-in-1, a 3-in-1, because you can do it at that height, and you can also click it down and have it at that height. Well, why would you want to do that? Well, sometimes if you're driving a fastener which has a hex nut on the top, that's all you need. You would put that and it would go over the top of the fastener, and then you have the screw section underneath. That's all you need, and then in you go. Same if you could put this on an impact driver, so it would do exactly the same. So you've got 1, 2, and then you have a depth setting, so technically a 3-in-1. Boom. So there you go. And in normal mode, which is, that's how I would have it, the bits go in, plonk. And how does it go in here? Well, you can't just push it in. Look, nothing happens. It will just come straight out. So you have to pull the collet back and take it to its first position. So you will hear a click there. That's its first position, and then it does have a secondary position. So if you do that again and then push it again, so hands off there, I'm just going along, click. There's your second position. It doesn't go any lower than that. If I try and take it lower, it just pushes the flip socket down. So pretty good. So really, I'm very impressed. You know, you've got your PH1, 2, 3. I will be replacing the square Robertson heads with posi because that's what I use, but they will have to be the reduced length ones, and I think they've done a nice job here. Really good. I really appreciate the fact that this is impact rated, so you can just whip that straight out, stick it in an impact driver, get some other work done. That's really good. That fills me with confidence that this is high quality. But generally, I mean, every piece of Klein kit I've ever used has been extremely good quality. So that's how I'll probably carry it, like that, and then I'll have my bits, and I was very impressed. so far. I've only used it 3 times today, so this is going to be a tentative score, which I'll give it. So let's compare it to some other things. I mean, I'll quickly show you the back of this. There's all their claims. There's the heads that you get. And then they're saying it includes 1 flip socket with 1/4-inch bit holding feature and 7 screwdriver bolts that are conveniently housed in the impact rated shaft bits, blah, 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 all that malarkey. Quick connect, powerful rare earth magnet. In other words, it's probably neodymium. Then you've got other foreign languages if you want to pause and read that. I've done it in 4K. And then, yeah, this is what I was discussing here. So you've got different positions, deep position, shallow position, nut driver. So you do have different positions of the flip socket there. Yeah, 3-in-1 they're claiming that is. And this is made in, I think it tells you somewhere, it's Taiwan there. Hidden over there. They always strangely, they always put that in the smallest text where it's made. I wonder why that is. Anyway, this is made in Taiwan, but I trust Klein. Hopefully it's done up to their high exacting standards. So there you go. So let's compare it in size to some of the other kit. So it's certainly, I mean, I've always said the PB Swiss is really, really small and nice, and it has a beautiful smooth carousel there with standard bits there, 1/4-inch, beautiful, beautiful bits, extremely nice. You can see the profile on that matches that of the Klein though on the flathead. Let's have a close look at that. You see the way it tapers off and then straightens. It's not just a rough sort of like chisel tip. Really, really good. So we'll pop that in. So in regards to the handle, I prefer the handle on this just because it's that PB Swiss stuff where, look, the whole thing is like a beautiful, soft, comfy, compliant material. It's beautiful with a texture. That's always been my favorite, and the magnet is more powerful than the one in here, but this is still good, and it's certainly better than the Vera one. And you could compare it to the Vihar here. I love this one. I've got another one of these at work, which is in a little bit better nick than this one. But this one, it doesn't have your standard carousel. It just kind of like clicks and falls out. But you get more heads with this. So you get all of these heads, and then if you flip them over, you have those. But then you could argue, yeah, but they're non-standard bits, so who wants them? Yeah, okay, valid point if you want to try and keep everything normal, but then you could argue that they're technically non-standard, they're 1/4-inch, but they're reduced height to get them in there. But it keeps the handle nice and small, and that is, I think they've just done a really nice fit and finish job on that. So I would say this holds things really nicely, but it doesn't have the magnet, but it kind of holds them. It uses like there's a little detent in there, there's a little ball bearing, and then this spring on the outside there, the ball bearing is under there, and that provides the pressure onto these detent points. So I really like the handle on this. You've got plastic and then a bit of rubber, but it's quite hard, but I like the grip, it fits my hand nicely. The Vera, it's got a bit of a wobbly, by design, it's got a wobbly carousel, you see, but they're saying you do that and it means you can get the bit out easier. Okay, possibly true. And I will say the Vera bits have been excellent. I've had no problems. Vera and Vihar bits, excellent. These are slightly better than these, maybe grip wise, and this is more hard plastic. So hard plastic, and then only this green bit is soft. You see the thumb nail imprint there. So different ways of doing it there. So in regards to this capabilities of this, I'm very impressed. So like I say, this was just a very quick one. Tentatively, I'm going to give this a, God, I mean, it's pretty good. Some people might argue, yeah, you've got all this and flip that, and because of that, you've now got, is that really a stubby? I mean, that is a really, really small stubby. So can you compare it with that? Let's compare it with that, because yes, it comes with a bit in, and so does that, because you get one extra. So it's not much taller. Let's line the bottoms up. It's not that much taller. It's like, you know, a thumbnail and a bit taller, and you're getting so much more. You can stick that in your impact. You can do it at different heights, height 1, height 2, height 3. You can, it's got a proper anvil there, not some wacko one where you've got to get a specific chuck. It's got flip socket on there, which is a nice added feature. And that handle's nice, even though at first glance I looked at that and thought, my goodness, it's, you know, back to the 60s. Yes, it's acetate, like an acetone or acetate or whatever that is, but it feels well made. I don't think that's going to crack. I used to have some cheap ones, and you see the cracks inside and you think, oh God, how long is this going to last? But I've got confidence in that, and this feels great. I didn't think I'd like it, but I do. And the size is nice. I really like that. And this section that goes down, it just gives you a nice bit of purchase. So I've got to give this a 9.5. When I first saw this, I thought, okay, Klein, let's see what you've got. I do have a Klein mini ratchet driver, and I love it. I didn't think I would before I got it, and I was wrong, and I loved it. And so again, I'm wrong, and I love this Klein. So I think Klein are doing some excellent stuff. If there's anything else from Klein that you think I might enjoy, just let me know, and I'll get it and review it, because I'm pleasantly surprised every time. Aesthetically, it looks older, but it works perfect. Brilliant. Loads of features. Right. So this was the Klein Tools. I'm going to give it a 9.5. Well done. Let's have a look. 10-in-1 impact stubby driver. Impact rated. Brilliant. Well done. Your 3-in-1 flip socket. Different height settings. Well done. Yes, it's made in Taiwan. So, you know, make of that what you will, because if I say it doesn't matter, people complain. If I say it does matter, people complain. It doesn't seem to matter what I say, people in the comments whinge. So what's your personal opinion on that? And there is the kleintools.com, whatever, if you want to go and have a look. Right, so I'm going to get on with my day. I love a good stubby, and for me, this is beautiful. I love it. Well done. Right, you have a good day. Goodbye.